Welcome to Daily Meditation with Sangha Live. Just noticing you, checking in, that sense of you being all around the world, and yet here we all are together. And then also, some of you just reporting the dark turning to light, the rain or absence of rain. And, just reflecting a little on the world. In a way, that's what we're always encountering. Our whole life is encountering what we call the world. In a way, we make up two different worlds, which we call an inner world called me and an outer world called the world. And yet there aren't really two worlds. There's just the world of experience, the world of sense impressions, which is also the world of sensations and feelings and thoughts. And so much of our struggle and difficulty, and so much of the ways we behave badly with each other, are because we make different worlds, the world of inner and outer, the world of me and not me, the world of us and one. And to cross those boundaries then, that may find conflict and struggle and violence and all the rest. So on the one hand, just hearing you speaking about the rain, I've called to mind that troubles of the world in terms of the climate. So many examples of that, both recent, really devastating hurricane in the US, and actually several different families that I know personally that have lost their homes in that hurricane. One of the teachers here at Sangha Live, who teaches regularly, Deb Braid and Tal, her whole house was just literally destroyed by the hurricane. And she was very lucky, actually, the odds were not, when you see the house, that she was inside that house at the time with her partner, you were very, very lucky to get out alive. And then the follow-up, this is Hurricane Milton, I think it's called. That's also, I think, saying the strongest hurricane in more than a century, which is just landing in Florida. Okay. And then the tail end of Hurricane, I forget the name, that's just sweeping across Western Europe at the moment, losing a bit of its force, but there's big emergency warnings in large parts of France today, and the wind and the rain that we have here at the moment, it's just the kind of very edges of that. So it's like just the immediate sense of the fragility of lives, climate, just as evidenced by these storms. And then the larger sense of just a destabilizing climate, a collapsing stability of climate. And maybe you saw the latest report yesterday, the latest climate report that points out in very, very strong and very, very alarming terms just to what degree the survival of humanity, or certainly anything like a kind of large-scale, organized, civilized, infrastructuralized humanity, is absolutely on a knife edge. And here we are as human beings, capable of so much beauty and creativity, dynamism, and yet so stupid, or let's say so incapable of arresting our momentum of consumption and destruction. And then the wider sphere as well of violence in the world and warfare and cruelty. That's in our news feeds every day. It's particularly highlighted at the moment because of the anniversary of the war, Israel, Gaza, Lebanon now as it spreads. And just kind of how painful that is. And as well as elsewhere in the world, Sudan, for example, many other places, Ukraine, etc. And the news spotlight moves for various reasons towards one of those conflicts and then away and towards another of them, etc. And we might feel particularly exercised by the one that we feel focused on, or the one that the media sources we draw and pull us to. If we just actually zoom out, or if we try those wars or those conflicts that particularly catch our attention, if we try to really educate ourselves about what's happening there. And what's happening on both sides? What's the ideology? What's the methodology? What's the historical context? Wow. It's kind of intractable. And I get most days I get some kind of get people emailing me or putting things on my social media and asking me sort of directly why either myself or why either the Buddhist world, as if I could speak for the Buddhist world, is silent about, or perceive, this is what the questions is, why there's kind of a sort of silence about wars, particularly the Israeli Gaza war, Lebanon war now. That one gets much more attention, at least pulled to me, rather than Russia, Ukraine, or Sudan, or elsewhere. And really, it seems so easy to put a voice out and to call for a ceasefire, for example. Although, as I was hearing yesterday, a ceasefire has got nothing to do with peace. A ceasefire is about regrouping to strengthen one's positions. And it's really because I'm reminded of the way the Buddha stayed silent, when he felt that he couldn't say anything that would be helpful. I find myself in that kind of situation. It's very hard to really, and the more I look at the context, the more I try to say, well, before I speak, let me really try to be informed. And the little I know just shows me how little I know. And, that's having spent probably, I don't know, many hours reading and listening and studying, as well as having lived in the Middle East for some time, probably a total of about a year, in different parts, Egypt, Jordan, Israel, etc. So I don't want to get into the politics of that, and especially not early morning when you just want to come and meditate, probably. But it's just to acknowledge, the pain of the world. And the theme of the week is emptiness and fullness, right? And we spoke about fullness in different ways, in terms of shrines and in terms of multitude of beings, and in terms of a practice that includes trees and spirit beings and all kinds of other things. So today I just thought, to point to fullness in a way that can actually take in. And that's, I think, the challenge of our practice, how to take in and make room for the suffering of the world without either being emotionally overwhelmed by it. It's terrible, it's too much, and then we collapse into hopelessness and despair. And hopelessness and despair are not at all helpful grounds for being able to make some kind of skillful response to the world we're in. Not collapsing into hopelessness and despair, nor hardening into kind of rigid views as if we know all the rights and wrongs of things, as if we know what should be done. Particularly in the whole huge complexity of the Middle Eastern situation, and how many, and of course they're coming from a sense of a wish for care, they're coming from a wish for peace, but how easily I see people hardening into the sense that, this is what should be done. And there's this hugely intractable, hugely complex geopolitical background, and then there's other worlds, considerations that get pulled into that kind of world. So, often silence is there's some idea that silence is complicity or that silence is cowardice. But I thought really, sometimes silence is neither complicity nor cowardice. It's actually uh, the it's wisdom. It's resting in one's deep reflection. It's waiting to see what could I say that feels genuinely true and useful and isn't just contributing to a kind of hardening of views. And I certainly haven't managed to find that yet, which is why in the larger public forum, I stay more or less silent. Because as soon as one has a view, the nuance gets squeezed out, things get polarized. And certainly social media pronouncements are not at all a context where nuance can still be held. So that's just a little context. It's more than enough for all of that now. But if, when speaking like this, it evokes in you the sense of just the pain of the world. Well, let's see, is it possible to enter into the pain of the world as we feel it with a great deal of tenderness, 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 tenderness for the pain we feel internally, tenderness for the pain that plays out externally, a tenderness that can actually dissolve the difference in worlds so that we're not caught in an inner and an outer, an us and a them, and a clear seeing and a tender heart. Those are good resources from which to navigate the intractable, boundless suffering of the world, as well as good places from which to recognize the endless beauty and love that's in the world. So this is where we meet life. This is where we enter into our practice. This is the endless paradox, boundless suffering, limitless love. So please take your seat for meditation. And not the beginning of our sitting period. Please just steady yourself in the immediate, just body sitting, body breathing. And then just giving yourself some time for your nervous system to soften a little bit, for the muscles in your face and your arms and your chest and your belly to relax. Some time for you to just arrive in the immediacy of a breathing body. And to invite this quality of a tender heart. tender-hearted presence. So if you can let this tender-hearted presence spread throughout the field of your experience. Tender-hearted presence in the breathing, in the whole field of bodily experience, a tender-hearted presence that can spread. Spreading outwards from your chest. Spreading outwards into arms and legs. Spreading upwards into your throat and the head and beyond. Spreading downwards into your belly, into the earth. Tender-hearted presence pervading experience. Tender-hearted presence. Gentle. your tender-hearted presence, and to be able to open to that which is painful, to care for that which is difficult, to tend to discomfort and pain. Whether that's physical pain as one sits here, whether it's emotional pain, whether it's that sense we have of the pain of the world. Each of your practice this morning be one of seeing moment by moment how one can tend to the painful. How one can have a heart that's vast enough so as to recognize and acknowledge and contain the boundless pain of the world, as well as the endless beauty of the world. Tender-hearted presence, one that's open, radiant, edgeless, unafraid, of pain. Tender-hearted presence is one that relaxes your body. So that the sitting here feels undefended, undemanding. Or isn't arguing with reality. whatever's happening in your experience right now. How can you meet it with a tender heart? What does it mean to open to, care for, tend to this moment? Tender-hearted presence, radiating through the field of experience, permeating what we call inner and what we call outer, dissolving a sense of self, the world, an open field of loving awareness, gentle awareness, tender awareness. last few minutes of the sitting. Whatever's happening right now and whatever your experience in the sitting has been until now, just in these last moments, let's see if one can rest into an atmosphere of tenderness, of forgiveness. An atmosphere that can hold all the seeming contradictions and paradoxes of the world and of your own experience, your own heart and mind. An atmosphere of love. We all speak for peace. May we all act for peace. May we all cultivate peace inwardly and outwardly. May we all know conditions that conduce to peace. In our lives, be ones that rest in and express peace. And tenderness, understanding, and wisdom.
Today's podcast is an offering to you from our archive of freely available live daily classes. We make wisdom teachings and meditations as freely available as possible to as many people as wish to practice. You can help ensure we can continue to support a worldwide Sangha by leaving a review wherever you get your podcasts, by sharing this with someone who'd be interested, and by offering a small financial support at sangha.live/donate.